Lovely to talk to you, Anna. What propelled this decision by Barbados to declare a republic?
Well, it's been long in coming, but certainly the timing has surprised some people. Clearly, Barbados is in the midst of a pandemic, as is the whole world, but also there was a sense that perhaps this could have waited until a time of transition when the Queen passes and there's the accession of a new king. But I think the Prime Minister was determined that this was the moment that Barbados was ready to embrace its full independent identity. And also, the constitution in Barbados means that there wasn't the need for a referendum, and this could be an act that was made by the government.
To the point of not having a referendum, what is public support for this move?
Broadly, the public are supportive. There is much more dissatisfaction about the way that the process of forging a new constitution is being handled and the lack of consultation about that. But the actual break with the Crown and the declaration of a republic is broadly supported. For some people, it is about claiming their full identity and their full independent identity. For some people, it is much more explicitly a rejection of the British Crown, and with that, the associations with slavery, with reparations, and with a general sense that Barbadians have been badly treated over the centuries, and this is time for them to take their destiny in their own hands.
Yeah, remind us of some of that sort of problematic history that Barbados has with the British Empire at the time.
Well, it was right back in the 17th century that the first English ship reached the island of Barbados. And really from that point, from 1627, the English settled on the island and began wiping away traces of the original inhabitants. And then very quickly, Barbados was turned into a slave society, a slave economy. And so it's that history in particular which has meant that, you know, this is a significant move for Barbados, and also one that the royal family have acknowledged. Prince Charles was there, and he acknowledged himself the legacy and the sorrow associated with slavery. So there's no denying of that, and in that sense, the royal family are kind of celebrating and acknowledging Barbados assuming this republic status.
And to your point, that has been acknowledged by the royals, but there had been quite a strong relationship with the royal family over the years since they became independent 55 years ago.
Absolutely. I mean, they have remained close, and the royal family, the Queen, has made several visits, several royal tours to the Caribbean, previously on HMS Britannia, her great yacht. Younger royals have also been to the Caribbean, in particular to Barbados. And I think, as dignitaries have emphasised, those links will be maintained. The British love to holiday in Barbados, and Barbados relies on tourism. So I don't think this is going to be a fracture of relationships, but it's going to be an evolution of a new kind of relationship. And the question will be, will those other 8 Caribbean islands that also have the Queen as head of state decide that now is the time for them to break free too?
And what is the sense? Is there any sort of move for further, islands to break away?
Jamaica has talked for some time about the desire to break away. So has St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I mean, those different countries have different mechanisms that are needed to effect that change, including having a 2/3 majority in a referendum, for example. But I think that those islands will be looking to Barbados and thinking that, you know, maybe now is their time too. And the question will be whether they move quickly or whether they perhaps decide to wait until the Queen's death and Charles's accession to make that break.
Yeah, and this is a bit of a litmus test because Barbados is elected to stay within the Commonwealth, so they're not cutting ties completely from that sort of that family grouping that the Commonwealth represents.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why they would. I mean, the Commonwealth of Nations has 54 nations. I mean, it's a hugely symbolic and important grouping, of which the Queen remains head, although that's not a hereditary position. Although it has been agreed by the heads of the Commonwealth states that Charles would succeed her as head, but that isn't hereditary. And there's no sense that any of these countries that want to become republics, as countries that have become republics over the last few decades, would want to then break free from the Commonwealth itself. They remain part of the Commonwealth. And I think that really is the future. And that's really where the priority and emphasis of the British Crown is. The Queen's been a great champion of the Commonwealth, and I think Charles will be too. And they're much keener to see that family of nations sustained and to grow in stature and in friendship and cooperation, much more than having these island states retain formal links to the Crown.
Interesting. Perhaps a lesson for Australia as well. Great to talk, Anna. Thank you so much.